Crime Besties. We're here for episode 87 and it's been a day. It's been a day.
We've had a good day though.
Very good day. Big sporting day for the kids. We're recording this on a Sunday, so in between or after 2 games of footy, basketball yesterday.
Yeah.
Big night out for me last night.
As soon as I saw you at the footy this morning, I was like, oh, wow.
I was like, this is too early.
Shabby?
Oh, it's shabby as.
Yeah.
Shabby as.
Hence the Coke next to your computer there rather than a wine.
That's it. No wine, and I'm even past water at this point. I'm like, I need the caffeine. I need the
sugar,
the bubbles. I need the bubbles.
Soak up that alcohol.
Yeah.
You had fun though.
Great night.
Great.
Lots of fun.
It's worth it.
It was. It was really good. It was really good.
Just don't recover like we used to.
Not even close. Not even close.
No.
But that's okay. That's,
That's still good. You're going to be paying for that tomorrow, I reckon, still too. Sorry.
I reckon I'll be just tired tomorrow because we got home really late. I then couldn't get to sleep straight away.
Yeah.
And we were up at 7 for sport this morning. I think I've probably had about 4 hours.
Yeah,
sleep.
that's the killer on it.
Yeah.
Because I find this age, day drinking's great.
Love me a day drinking
bed
sesh.
at a reasonable hour still, like pre-midnight.
Yep.
And get, that good 6 to 8 hour minimum still. You'll still have a massive hangover, don't get me wrong, but you'll be right.
Be fine, yeah. So I think for me it's a lack of sleep. And then after recording this, we're actually off to a family friend's birthday dinner.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we're going to have to just not be late. I'm going to need to come home. I've got to go to work tomorrow.
For work.
I've got to actually pretend to, do stuff tomorrow. Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Adulting's the worst.
Oh, it's hard.
God, how do we do it as,
I don't know where you go out night after night. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or you'd go out and wake up still at 8 o'clock the next morning to go to work that day or something. Yeah. Oh my God.
The young ones don't do like what we used to do, which I'm so impressed with.
Me too.
Out with some people during the week with that sort of thing. And one of the younger boys, he's 19 and he actually had it was his first more than one drink that he'd ever had.
Wow. Yeah, kids
he'd only ever had like a beer at something or whatever, and he actually had 5 beers in this evening that we were all out for, and it was quite hilarious.
But kids, it's true. They don't really drink like we used to.
Yeah.
Like we just from the minute you turn 18, Mum.
Totally.
18. From exactly 18, not one
that,
day before.
The birthday,
yeah. Drinking's like a big thing.
Yeah.
But I like that there's a cultural shift away from it.
Absolutely.
I really like that.
I do too. As long as it's not shifting to somewhere where I really don't want it to go,
to something else. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
That's really true.
It's too expensive to be able to go out and drink all the time like that. Like
that's
we did.
it, exactly.
It felt expensive when we were kids. Like, you always
yeah, but you could afford it with your part-time job. I don't know that you'd be able to these days.
God, no. No, I mean, $14 at times for a glass of wine. Forget it.
And then sometimes.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mental.
God, yeah.
How's your week been though? Otherwise,
it's getting back into routine and stuff. Which this week it's hard to judge by. I've had a bit of a week, but it's I think it's good to get back into routine.
Yeah.
No, how about you?
I'm about the same. So 8-9 weeks ago, I had a surgery, and it meant that I couldn't exercise for that amount of time. And I went back to the gym this week and, oh, my God.
Yeah.
You know when you're so sore you can't even sit down on the toilet? You kind of have to just free fall onto the toilet.
Those muscles in the back of your legs killing you.
Yep, that's where I'm at. That's where I've been at. So I actually feel like that's contributing to how I feel today because all my muscles sore.
So we were actually talking about you at our game because we're at separate footy games today. And one of the girls was saying about doing the trainer and stuff, and we were saying that our poor trainer was having to run out a fair bit today. And she goes, but at least Emma, she's fit. And I said, well, actually, she's not been allowed to be at the gym, so she's probably feeling it that with a hangover. I mean, we'll give you some empathy.
Oh, thanks for going around and telling everyone I had a hangover at the other grounds.
Oh, well, I think you're from Mr. Standard.
Well, it is Sunday.
Just shared it with a few.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was actually pretty lucky today. I didn't have to run out. I only had to run out once, and it wasn't even terrible, so it was all right.
We had a fairly physical game. It was, my son's ended up with a black eye.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing purposeful, obviously, but yeah, very physical, very getting in there. It's like, oh my God, I don't know if I like this, but then now it
starts getting really rough, really rough.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy. Aside from that, what has my week been? Getting back into the routine of school, as you said, because we're sort of at the end of week 1 of the next term now, of term 2.
Yeah.
And it just made me realise, again, we've said this before on the podcast, how much I hate washing lunchboxes.
Yep.
I just hate it. But at least we're back in a routine. The kids are back doing what they need to be doing, and it's all good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as I say, the sports now we're into double season with the winter. It's like, it's every night after the week doing stuff and everything. But it's kind of good, though, having the routine.
I do like it. And it's good that the kids are out there being active. I just keep thinking, it's absolutely worth it. This coming weekend, you and I are actually not recording another episode this week, but don't worry, there's going to be no break for you guys. You guys won't even know. But we're going to Halls Gap to the Grape Escape.
Yes.
So to a wine festival. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Nice.
Hopefully I won't be, I was going to say hopefully I'll be feeling much better by then. But I'm really looking forward to that. We're going to be away for the weekend, so the kids will miss sport, but it looks like the weather's going to be really nice.
Oh, the weather's doing good. I'm enjoying this.
That'll be lovely.
Low 20s, kind of mid-20s stuff. It's nice.
Bit of sunshine. Me too.
Yeah,
me too.
Very good.
We have got so many shout-outs for today. So
much going on at the moment, haven't we?
We've got a lot going on.
That nice T-shirt that you're wearing over there.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was going to get to that in a moment.
Yeah, we'll get there.
So first of all, let's do our shout-outs. We've got some new Patreons that I'd love to give a special shout-out to. We've got Kylie Bellman, Heidi, I think it's Heidi by the way it's spelled.
Yeah.
We've got Mel Tartalanoa and Beck Hennessy. So thank you to all of you for joining us over on Patreon, and we will be getting actually by the time this comes out we'll have already had an episode of a new Patreon episode out, so get on it.
Absolutely.
We have then had so many coffees wines bought for us through Buy Me a Coffee. So we had Raina Alessio, Ashley Lauren, Miss Tan, Victoria Janusek, and one of my friends, Erin Hollis. So thank you very, very much to all of you.
Yes,
thanks, Erin. She's like, she knows what I need. So thank you very, very much. Very much appreciated. And love all the comments that keep coming in. We've been showered with really lovely comments this week. I think we've spoken before about sometimes, you get the odd shitty comment in there.
We had one this week that I was tempted to write back to, but
I just can't be bothered.
Of it. No.
Yeah. But overwhelmingly, really lovely comments. So thanks to everybody who's reached out. We've had I've noticed heaps and heaps on Spotify. So many comments on our episodes this week. So and a lot of people who are like, oh, we've just found you and I've been binging your episodes and all that sort of stuff. So thank you.
On that too, if you are listening right now, make sure you hit that subscribe button in Spotify, Apple, or whatever podcast app you're listening in. That helps heaps. We're adding to that subscription list there of how many we've got subscribed in those platforms really pushes us out there. So just hit that button if you're enjoying this and keep coming back to us.
We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Now, what you were alluding to before. What are you wearing? We are wearing merch. We are wearing merch. So we launched it on the socials this week, and it has taken off.
It really has.
When we were sort of setting it up, I'm like, I wonder how many people will actually buy stuff, because
just friends and family.
Well, I fully assumed it. Although, come on, friends and family, get on it. But I really assumed that that maybe we'd get a few, because there've been people who've been asking for it.
Yeah.
So I assumed those people would go for it. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Overwhelming.
Yeah, totally.
Every time it pings up, I'm like, oh, another person. And then we had one of our listeners, I think it was Leanne, she posted a photo of herself wearing our shirt out in the wild. And I was like, oh my God. And she bought an absolute piece of shit t-shirt. I loved it. So good.
Oh God, so good. Love that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's exactly what people have been saying. They want to wear those, flashing them around everywhere. Yeah. And now people can. It's so
Thank
good.
you. Yes, thank you so much. So in light of the launch of our merch, what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple of giveaways.
Yeah.
So as of the day this episode comes out, anybody who has joined our Patreon up until today will go into the draw to win a Two Crime Besties merch pack. So you'll get, I think we said we'll do a hoodie, a notebook and a sticker.
Yep.
And then you can hoodie, jumper, whatever. If you really want a T-shirt, you can have that too. Just let us know.
Yep.
We'll reach out to the winner and they can let us know what they
Choose
want.
their item. Yep.
Choose their item and they can choose, like, let us know their sizing and all that stuff. And then for anybody who joins Patreon from today, so from the 5th of May until the 5th of June, we'll go into a separate draw to win a prize pack of their own. So we would love for you to join up and join us over on Patreon. We do an extra episode there every month for our Patreons, and now you can win a merch pack too.
Yep. So we're going to thank our loyal Patreons, and so you guys will go in one. It'll be separate draw, so 2 different winners. Draw 1 will be our current Patreons, and our draw 2 will be any new Patreons this month.
That's it.
So exciting!
Yay.
Come and join us. Get your merch pack.
Yep.
And yeah, as we said, you pick whatever you like.
Yep. Love it. Excellent.
So good.
Join us, guys.
Well, I'll put it all out on the socials too. So we've got all that information there for you when you have a look, and come and join us at the Patreon.
Excellent. Okay, so we are discussing the Tylenol murders.
Yeah.
This one is, I mean, I knew a fair bit about it, I think, sort of in the lead up. I've watched documentaries before, and it's definitely something that I think, because this case was so instrumental in changing a lot of things that we just now take for granted in day-to-day life.
Yep.
I think that kind of plays into what I knew about it and why I knew about it.
Yeah, it's hard to think that, like, those things that we just take for granted weren't in place. Like, it's almost like, what? You could just open anything?
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah. Meanwhile, my kids yesterday at bloody Chemist Warehouse were trying to, like, they were fighting each other on who can open the childproof lock on one of the containers. And I'm like, I'm not buying that. I don't need that.
Stop it. Stop it. Oh, God.
Because I'm sure they could get into childproof bloody bottles.
Oh, yeah, probably by now. It's not really stopping a 12-year-old or 10-year-old from getting into things. It's more your toddlers that we're looking out for, I guess.
True.
So anyway, for those of you who don't know much contextually about this, the Tylenol murders were it was a day, basically. A series of murders took place that just by pure chance really played out over about a 24-hour period on the 29th of September in 1982 in Chicago, in Illinois, in the USA. And as we go through and we're going to talk about the victims and we're going to talk about the suspects and all of that kind of thing, I think it's, keep in the back of your mind what Meg was saying, the fact that anybody could open any medication, and we're not just talking Tylenol, all medications was kind of like open on the shelf. There was no tamper-evident seals or anything like that. So, in terms of mechanisms for delivery for these kinds of things, like, you can kind of see how it happened. And I'm so surprised that it hadn't happened before. Yeah. Yeah.
Something that sort of like linked in with this a little bit, like I actually didn't realize this until I read this, was that, how like everyone gets nervous about Halloween and lollies and stuff? There's actually never been any issue and anything linked to a Halloween of anything being tampered with. Yet we get really nervous about lollies being handed out. And apparently it is a correlation between the fact of this case and the Tylenol being tampered with, that people have just assumed then that people would tamper with something else that we have free access to. And I think that's that, being able to access it freely was what has then created this, fear.
Do you think it's more that, it's, okay, access is absolutely one thing, but the fact that people would do it is another thing? Because, like, I think before this, you wouldn't think that somebody would necessarily tamper with medication.
So true.
And you don't think people are going to tamper with children's lollies, but there are fucking psychos in the world.
I think people just start learning that there are people
there are people
awful.
Who will do that shit. I think there's kind of almost two sides to it in that way.
Yeah.
And, I absolutely wouldn't let my kids eat a lolly that wasn't, in a sealed bag or in a wrapper.
Yeah.
I mean, hygienically, but also because you don't know what kind of weird people are out in the world and what they might try to do to you.
Some weird people that we come across with this. Because, Yep. It's possible that people could do this stuff.
Yeah.
Or weirder stuff.
Crazy. So let's start with patient zero. The first patient
Yes.
This is so incredibly tragic because
just awful.
the first victim in this situation was a 12-year-old girl by the name of Mary Kellerman.
Yep.
Before we even get into this, could you believe how many Marys are in this story?
I was like, first I was like, because we're trying to work out what's going on here. I'm like, did they ever kind of go, are they targeting Marys?
Yeah. I literally thought the same thing. I'm like, how coincidental that there are, out of all of, there's not that many people who died over these couple of days.
Yeah.
Three of them are named Mary. Yeah. Anyway, so don't get confused like I did when I was doing my research. But Mary Kellerman, first victim, 12 years of age.
Yes.
So she woke up on the morning of the 29th of September in 1982, and she had a bit of a cold. Apparently she'd been sort of coming down with something for a few days, and her dad, she woke up, said to her dad, I'm really not feeling very well. And he's like, look, stay home from school today. I'll give you some Tylenol and go back to bed and sort of, we'll ride out the day. We've all done this with our kids.
Yeah.
She had a bit of a very low-grade fever. I would have done exactly the same thing. So Tylenol, for those who don't know, an equivalent in Australia would be Panadol, like in terms of a brand name.
Yep.
The actual drug is acetaminophen.
Sorry, say that again. Sorry, President Trump, say it again.
Oh, yeah, good one. Yep. Or paracetamol. It's exactly acetaminophen, paracetamol, two names for the exact same drug. Yep.
Yeah.
So Tylenol, though, in the US was their leading brand of pain relief medication. So much so, I think it accounted. So the company was owned at this point by Johnson & Johnson, and I believe they had 30% market share for pain relief medication, which is huge. By far, they were the biggest, and used, I think there was millions and millions and millions of homes in America had a bottle of Tylenol in it.
It was their biggest product that they produced in terms of financial, what they got, how big that product was for them. It was their biggest one.
Biggest money earner. And I believe to this day it's very, very similar.
Yeah.
It might not be their biggest, but I actually think it still is.
Yeah, I mean, there'd be more expensive drugs,
Yeah.
but in terms of volume and how much they sell of it and what they make from it there, I believe it is still their leading drug. Yeah.
Okay, so Mary Kellerman was 12 years old. She was a 7th grader, and she was the only child of Dennis and Jana Kellerman. So as we said, she was feeling not amazing on this morning. Her dad's given her a Tylenol extra strength and sent her back to bed.
Yeah.
Now, she was described as a really bright young girl, and she was really looking forward to Halloween, and it was something she'd already started to try and organise her costume. Her mum was making a costume for her, as you would. Anyway, so she took the pill from her dad. She's then gone to go to the bathroom, and she collapsed on the bathroom floor. So her mum and dad were down the hallway, and they just heard this thud and, of course, raced to her. And by the time they got to her, she was completely, like, her pupils were fixed and dilated. I think she had some very shallow breathing.
Yep.
But she was completely out of it. They, of course, dialed 911, emergency services attended and performed CPR on her, and they actually kept her alive until she arrived at the Alexian Brothers Medical Centre, where they pronounced her dead. They could not sustain her life. And the doctors at the medical centre were absolutely baffled.
Yeah, they sort of were like some symptoms of almost like a heart attack kind of symptoms I was seeing, but it wasn't a heart attack, and very confused by such a young girl to just drop dead.
So I think they thought it might have been a stroke.
Yeah.
Because she did have some like drooping and other sort of anomalies in terms of her facial features. But then they also thought, well, maybe it was like a congenital heart defect that had never been diagnosed or something like that. Because, of course, I mean, 12-year-olds don't just drop dead. It had to have been. It had to have been something.
Yeah, so very unusual, and really threw them for a 6 in terms of what has caused this. Just really unusual.
Really unusual.
Yeah.
Let's park Mary there for now.
Yeah.
Because on the same day, this next lot of people is so incredibly tragic. This is the Janus family.
Yeah.
So this family ended up, it's just absolutely tragic. Let's start with Adam. Adam was a 27-year-old postal worker. And
Arlington Heights.
Yep. And he was a family man. He had a son and a daughter.
Yep.
And apparently he was just such a lovely, lovely person. Like, he was very much a family man. He had immigrated from Poland to the United States and really made a go of his life. They lived in a very sort of modest 3-bedroom home, but it was their home.
Yep.
You know, they'd saved and bought that house, and they were living a really lovely life as a family unit. Apparently, Adam was a very sensitive man and really gentle and kind. And anyway, on this particular day, he had the day off work, but he actually also wasn't feeling 100%. And so his daughter had preschool that day, and because he was off work, he was able to go and pick her up. And on the way home from preschool, he decided to drop into the local supermarket because, for 2 reasons actually. He wanted to get some steaks for dinner, and he wanted to get some flowers for his wife, which was something that he did often.
So
Isn't that beautiful? So he bought her gladiolis.
Right.
I think it was.
Good. They're a plant, are they, I assume? Like flower?
Yeah. Oh, my God, Meg.
I don't
Oh,
know.
mate.
Are they
We'll
pretty?
They're pretty. They be pretty, yo. So anyway, so while he was there, because he wasn't feeling 100%, he's like, I'll pick up some Tylenol while I'm here.
Yep.
He goes to the shelf, picks off a bottle of extra strength Tylenol, and goes home and gives his wife the flowers and starts to sort of set himself up for the night. Obviously, he was planning on cooking these steaks for dinner. Now, I guess he'd gotten to a point where he was like, oh, actually, I really am not feeling 100%. I'm going to take that Tylenol.
Yeah.
And, you know, hopefully I'll feel better. I'll be able to then spend the rest of the night with the family and it'll all be good. Now, he takes 2 Tylenol, extra strength, and almost immediately just drops to the floor. It's like, again, same. In fact, I believe the same wording was used by his wife. He dropped with a thud.
Yeah.
Like, it's that, like, complete just out of it.
Yeah.
Of course, she calls 911. A neighbour actually came to assist because the neighbour heard the absolute terror screaming. So a neighbour came to assist. They were performing CPR. I think the fire brigade got there first.
Did.
Is
the
that
fire
right
got there
for
first.
this one?
That's how on the phone she was like, they again thought like heart attack kind of thing.
Definitely.
So because that was sort of mentioned of like the kind of instant how he had dropped so quickly, in those moments, fire brigade can attend first if they're the closest. Whoever's closest, they'll just get someone there. So fire brigade did arrive first, but they walked into this scene of this young man. I mean,
healthy. Apparently, he was really
man.
like, someone described him like he was sort of strong as an ox. So he wasn't like thin, but he wasn't overweight. He was just, he was a fit, strong, healthy 27-year-old man. Like, you don't expect a 27-year-old to just drop dead. But I guess that was kind of the thing that fit his symptoms.
Yep.
Now,
they attempted CPR, continued on him. The paramedics arrived and they did the same, but unfortunately, they could not revive him.
No, they did take him to the hospital and the local hospital, and he was pronounced dead on arrival there.
Yeah.
So absolutely tragic. And what that meant was, his wife and the extended Janus family then gathered back at their house after, you just can't imagine the devastation and the shock of that.
Yeah.
For such a young family, it's just, it's actually unfathomable.
Absolutely.
So, of course, everyone wants to rally around, and there's obviously different arrangements that probably need to start being made, or even just being with each other.
Moment, it's just the shock of it. They're all just coming together to kind of go, what has happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Adam had 2 brothers, and so they've come around to kind of go like speak, meet to see his wife and be like, what's gone on here, and all start grieving together in terms of getting their heads around what has just taken place. They've all, I'm guessing, standing around kind of going like, what the hell? Like, how did this happen and what has caused this? And in that sort of grief and feeling uneasy and all of that. I think obviously as Adam wasn't well and with a cold and things, it's probably others were feeling a bit the same. And in doing that, Stanley Janus, his brother, who was his younger brother of 25, and Teresa, his wife, Teresa Janus, who was 19.
And also, they'd only been married, was it 7 months?
7 months or something. Yeah, that sounds right. It was only briefly that they'd been married. Very early days.
I mean, you can see photos from their wedding it was so early in their marriage that they actually didn't have their professional photos back yet. They'd only just seen proofs. They hadn't actually gotten their wedding album back. But obviously, in the course of over the course of time, the photos have come.
Yeah.
And there's this beautiful photo of Stanley and Teresa as the bride and groom with Adam's family.
Yeah.
So with his wife and the 2 kids, and it's the 6 of them together, and it's a really, really lovely, like everyone's dressed up, everyone looks really happy.
Yeah.
Lovely. Lovely, lovely. But then tragedy.
Yeah, so obviously the 2 of them have, kind of gone, not feeling very well, and have gone and taken some Tylenol that they saw in the bathroom, thinking that would be what to do. It
was actually on the kitchen counter.
Yeah, it was left out. So it was sitting there in front of them, and they kind of went, actually that's probably what I need at the moment. I'll take some Tylenol, extra strength Tylenol, to sort of see if that'll help me make me feel better.
Well, for sure, because in that grief, you've probably got a headache. I mean, you're so
emotional.
This is
it. Whether it was that they was coming down with something like with a cold or something, or whether it be just the grief and feeling, just say headaches and things, they decided to take a Tylenol, and unfortunately Stanley collapsed first, pretty much immediately after taking it. And again, the family called paramedics back. Which, I mean, they'd only just been there.
Yeah, literally, it was hours.
Just left there. Yeah. They've gone back to the house, and they started to work on Stanley when all of a sudden from behind them, Teresa collapses as well.
Have you heard the fire department attended, and it was the same same guy.
People returned.
Because I mean they were still on shift. That's how soon this happened.
Also the fact of we were just there, what the hell's going on with this? Because that was weird enough that that Adam had passed away at 27. Yeah. Now we've got a 25-year-old and a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the 19-year-old collapsed once that when they got there in front of them, which, I mean, there's interviews with many of the paramedics and the firefighters that were there that, they commented saying, it was just, they were in disbelief, particularly when she dropped down.
Well, that's what this one that I'm in particular that I'm thinking of. This, I think he was a firefighter.
Yeah.
And obviously trained in emergency response. Yeah. And he was saying they were working on Stanley, and next minute he felt Teresa grab him, and he thought it was because she was so desperate for something to happen, and then so it kind of took him a beat to turn around to see her because he was focused on Stanley.
Yeah.
But when he did, as soon as he turned around, she collapsed.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the fuck is going on? Is there something environmental? What's happening anyway? But obviously in the immediacy of what was going on, they needed to sort that situation out and get these 2 people to hospital.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It immediately triggered that whole idea of, what is going on here and what's created this? Is there monoxide poisoning in this house? They actually, because they got Stanley, they did take him to hospital, but he passed away. Mm-hmm. Teresa was on life support for a little bit longer, but she
survived until the next day.
Yes, yeah. So she was holding on, but didn't.
Oh, sorry, 2 days. But 2
days?
Yeah, 1st of October she passed away.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
but so they were kind of they thought they might be able to get her through, but But what they did was they segregated her. So because they were like, well, is this something? Is there some sort of something in the air?
Airborne.
Is there something airborne? Is it something that's contagious? Then that people are catching from each other, and this is pre-COVID that we're also more aware of those things.
Pre-COVID,
but, So, but that people were sort of thinking, is this something that we could all be infected with as well, and more people are going to drop? So they've isolated her as well as the people who were working on her and Stanley, because they weren't sure if there was cross-contamination between them all. So that happened, but that meant that they couldn't then investigate kind of and look at what was happening. So this was a point where a particular nurse was contacted who was a phenomenal nurse, that they sent her in to sort of look at, what do you think has gone on here, and start looking into this, because they're like,
Thank thank God they sent this woman in.
Yeah. Yeah.
She is, I think if it weren't for her,
Oh, they could have been in all sorts of trouble.
this could have been, it was really bad,
Yeah.
but it could have been worse.
I agree.
Yeah.
'Cause I think that this meant that they actually connected dots quicker.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
So what she did was, she had the fire brigade come in to do the carbon monoxide testing. That was something that they could do. They had instrumentation to be able to do that.
Yeah.
That was ruled out. And so then she decided to go around and look at potential contaminants within the home. Like she said, you know, sometimes it might be something foodborne. They didn't know if it was like a botulism or something from food they'd eaten. Or anyway, so she's gone and started looking around the house. Now, she made a couple of comments. The first comment she made was that the house was immaculately clean, like it was very clean. So she's like, it's not like they were living in squalor and there's, you know, disease, like a disease-ridden home. There were no animals in the house, which again, they can bring in different diseases that you may not know about. There was no evidence of rodents or anything. So she said sometimes that, you know, in rodent feces, there can be different things that are carried. She's like, saw no evidence of that. So she's then looking through, I guess, the less conspicuous things. You know, she's ruled out all of the things that are like, yep, there's no poo, there's nothing filthy. She's looked in the fridge and she's
There's
like,
no
everything.
smell of gas, you know, like that sort of stuff.
That's it. And in the fridge, all of the food was fresh. Nothing was off. Everything smelt okay. Like she was very, very thorough.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she's found this bottle of Tylenol extra strength on the kitchen bench. And she's like, oh, that's interesting. Let me count how many pills there are. So she did. And she discovered that there were 6 pills missing. And she's like, 6 pills missing, 3 people dead.
You take 2 at a time.
Yep. That. And she's like, I just knew in that instance it was this. She said, I didn't know what it was to do with this, but I knew it had to be this.
No.
And she was pretty adamant because when she took this to, so I believe it was the police chief had asked her to go and do this.
Yes.
Or was it the fire chief? It was the police chief, was it? And when she took it, when she took it to this superior, he said to her, it's Tylenol. Like, no. Yeah. And she's like, but there is literally nothing else. Oh, that's the other thing. In the bathroom, she found the receipt for the Tylenol and saw that it had been purchased that day. And so she's like, so it was purchased. It's brand new. It was purchased today and 6 pills are missing today. And we've got 3 people dead. Yeah. Each having taken 2 of these pills. So he's like, okay, bring it in and we'll get the medical examiner to have a look at it.
Edmund Donoghue was the medical examiner, chief medical examiner in the area. And so he immediately took a smell of it and he could smell there's this almond type smell to cyanide and he smelt that immediately.
Apparently only 50% of the population can actually smell it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
It's one of those weird genetic things.
Yeah, okay.
Like being able to curl your tongue.
Well, I believe he then got someone else to smell it to check it and they both could smell it. So at least the 2 of them were 50% of the population that could.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's really interesting. So he's like, right. Well, I think he said, or maybe it was the other person he got to smell it actually said as soon as they even released the lid, he's like, I could smell it immediately. Yeah. So, and we know what that smell is in relation to.
If you don't know that's, you know, that smell, you're not thinking about it, looking at it, you're not feeling very well and you open a bottle of that and take 2.
It's
you
not
would just
immediately.
I wouldn't go, so I can smell almonds and not take my Tylenol.
Yeah. No.
You know?
Well, we would now.
No, well, probably. Probably not.
Don't
I don't
say
know.
Probably. You gotta learn shit from these kind of stuff.
Take note.
Yeah, please take note. All right, so we've got the, we're looking now at the source of this, and so they don't know how the cyanide got there, why the cyanide got there, but they're like, okay, let's run this now through an analyzer to be 100% sure that what we think it is actually what it is. Now, unfortunately, that took a bit of time. Yeah. When I say a bit of time, it was still very fast, but it wasn't fast enough to then save the remainder of the victims.
Well, I don't think it ever could have been because they'd already been purchased. Do you know what I mean? Or
yeah, but I mean, I guess if they were able to get that message out in that instance,
not to take them,
we don't know whether it would have reached the right people in the right time or not. No. But anyway, so the next victim was another Mary by the name of Mary Reiner. Raina. She was 27 years of age. And look, this is absolutely heartbreaking. I think, the death of a 12-year-old girl is tragic, but this one kind of really got me. But I guess it got me in the feels because of the position in her life that she was in, and I just found it so incredibly relatable.
Absolutely.
So she was living in Winfield, Illinois, and she was a mother of 4 children, the youngest of which was 6 days old on this particular day.
Yeah.
And back in the day, and still to this day, Panadol has always been considered, or paracetamol, Tylenol, has always been considered a safe drug to take in pregnancy. Now, I know we all try not to, but there's days where you have no choice. You've got a headache, whatever.
You take it if you need it.
You take it if you need it.
Yep.
And it is considered safe to take in pregnancy. And in your very early postpartum days as well, when you're breastfeeding and all of that kind of thing. So she's obviously had a headache. Well, so her husband said that she was like physically and emotionally just exhausted, 27 years of age with 4 children. 6 days ago you gave birth, you're coming home to 3 other kids. I would be exhausted and burnt out too, and probably have a permanent headache and would need to be taking paracetamol.
Absolutely.
So she did just that. So they also bought extra strength Tylenol and she took 2 tablets and again, in exactly the same way as everyone else that we've spoken about to this point, has collapsed.
Yep.
So her husband's name was Ed, and he did exactly what all the other victims' families did and called an ambulance, and she was actually rushed to the Central DuPage Hospital, which was about a 2-minute drive from their house. So it's not like it was far. They tried to save her. They performed CPR. Again, they're looking at this 27-year-old woman. The fact that she'd just given birth, they thought that maybe it was massive blood loss or that it was something relating to having just given birth, which is a really tumultuous time in the life of a woman.
Absolutely.
So I can understand why they did.
Yeah, but they couldn't find any connection to that once they...
Not at all. There was no bleeding, nothing like that. She passed away in the hospital a little bit later on that afternoon.
Yes.
So it was, again, so we're talking now 3 different hospitals for these 5 victims.
Yeah.
So, and at the time there wasn't a centralized system or anything like that. I mean, they were still doing paper charting and we didn't have the computers like we have today.
No.
So nothing was being
They weren't
linked
connecting
up.
the dots between those. I mean, obviously 3 in the one family, that got things moving. Whereas these, between the 3 of those and then poor Mary Kellerman and this Mary, they weren't those 3 separate occasions of this were not being connected at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just absolutely horrific. And, to have a baby, a 6-day-old baby left without his mum.
Absolutely. I mean, the other children as well, but particularly the fact that they didn't even get a chance to bond, and make that connection there as strong as it would be.
Sad.
So sad.
So sad.
Yep.
Okay. The next victim was another Mary by the name of Mary McFarland. Her death happened in a sort of a more public setting.
Yeah.
In a way. And look, so her name... She went by the name of Sue, not Mary. She was 31 years of age. She was a divorced single mum raising 2 sons at the time. So Ryan was 5 and Bradley was 3 at the time of her death. So another young mum. It's just... You know what it actually makes me think? Young mums really need Panadol.
Oh, fuck yeah. At least.
At least.
Yes.
At least. Apparently she came home, late afternoon. She'd been working and... Oh, no, she was at work, wasn't she? And she developed a throbbing headache. Oh, my God, we've all been there. Absolutely. She was sitting at her desk at the time and she's like, I'm going to grab some extra strength Tylenol and knock this headache out.
Yeah.
To the horror of her co-workers, she was in the main area of their office and, again, in exactly the same way as the other victims, she just collapsed.
Yeah.
She was rushed to Good Samaritan Hospital in Downers Grove, where she was pronounced dead later that night.
Just awful.
So even despite, many of these victims arriving at hospital alive, what had happened to them, they weren't able to sustain life. Like, from all of the reports I've read and things I've listened to about this, their pupils were fixed and dilated. Their breathing was extremely shallow. It was like they just couldn't get it back. And it's just absolutely horrific. And when we know about what, they obviously figured out, especially with the Janus family initially, that it was due to cyanide. The way that cyanide works is it actually blocks oxygen from getting into your blood cells. And so, and it can be immediate. Like, it can be so fast.
If you immediately knew that, like, that's cyanide, I don't think that changes it, does it? No. Yeah, because even like when I think of like all the victims here, and you look at that Teresa, who was, there was literally paramedics on hand at the time she collapsed. Even from that entry point of getting
is there
relief.
an antidote to cyanide?
Yeah, or
I
just even
don't know.
knowing okay, we know what that effect is that it does. Well, if we do this, it might counteract that.
Yeah. There is apparently there is a drug. I don't know whether there was back then. Back then,
yeah, whether that's something
but
new.
Apparently there is an antidote. Mm-hmm. There is now.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming it would have to be administered
pretty quickly.
Obviously
it does work very fast, cyanide, like especially in the levels which we'll get to.
That's it. What we know from the Janus family is that each capsule contained enough cyanide to kill 3 adult humans. So if they're taking 2 of those capsules, that's enough to kill 6 people. Yeah. And so it obviously just worked in an instant.
Fast.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
really, really fast.
Oh, God.
Okay,
Terrible.
So I guess this... Oh, sorry.
Was one more victim that... that were you going?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right. No, go.
No, you're doing very well. I'll leave you to it.
Okay, so the next victim is a woman by the name of Paula Prince. She was 35 years old and was a flight attendant and apparently amazing at her job, like friendly, loved traveling, had an absolute zest for life. She was single, but she lived in a really lovely apartment on her own. And she was just in one of the, like, Chicago's Old Town, apparently.
Yeah, right.
And she was beautiful, like absolutely stunning woman, and had a real zest for life. And I think it was her, I want to say it was her sister. It might have been her friend speaking about her in a documentary I watched about this. And I don't know, I felt like I'd like to be her friend.
Yeah.
The way that she was spoken about, I'm like, she just sounded like so much fun, so kind, really thoughtful, always giving to other people. And she had people in her life who had kids, and she'd always like do everything for them, and just a really genuinely, solidly lovely person.
Yeah.
So she was a flight attendant for United Airlines, and she did actually international and domestic travel for part of that. And I think she was really, really good at what she did.
Yeah.
So she landed at O'Hare Airport on the 29th of September. She'd just flown from Las Vegas, and then she had some time off work, a few days off work. She said that apparently on the way home she was exhausted and she had a bit of a headache. She stopped off at a Walgreens, which is a pharmacy chain over in the United States, and she purchased some extra strength Tylenol. This is the most tragic part of this story because her sister was trying to get in contact with her, and 2 days later, her sister phoned the police and asked them to do a welfare check on her because she hadn't heard from her, wasn't able to get her by phone. And the police did that. They went into her home and they found her collapsed on her bathroom. Well, she was kind of half in, half out of her bathroom. They found a bottle of extra strength Tylenol nearby, near her body. One pill was missing, and also the receipt was found in her apartment. So they know it was purchased that day.
And that's what I think with that one I find really, really hard, that she only took one, whereas the others were taking 2, that then you wonder, okay, if she'd taken that kind of a dose and someone had been home with her, say, was there a chance maybe she would have made it?
Don't know.
But the fact she was home alone, meant that there was no intervention for her whatsoever.
No.
Oh, awful.
And the fact that her body was found 2 days later, it just makes me feel so sad.
That is. That's just awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Mary Weiner? 27 years old.
Yeah.
And so she was the 6th victim in terms of like the process of all of this.
Mm.
And similar thing. So she also had a headache, took some extra strength Tylenol, collapsed. Now, very, very luckily, she was also taken to the Central DeBarge Hospital, which is the same place Mary Rayner had been taken earlier that day. And because they now had 2 victims at the same hospital that had the same symptoms and died in the same way, that hospital then started to be like, okay, there's something actually going on here. What's the go? Let's see if they started to then reach out to other hospitals in the area to see if they'd seen anything like this, because these 2 things were so bizarre, yet unique. They'd never really seen anything like this before. And this is what started the hospitals talking. So the doctor who treated both of these Marys reached out to colleagues in the other emergency departments in the hospitals around. And then that's how they found, oh my God, we've had a patient like this.
Yeah.
And we've had 3 patients where this has happened. And this is where at that time, the police chief's like, oh my Lord, we need to get the mayor and the health department involved in this and sort of started the ball rolling in terms of like, what the fuck are we going to do about this? And because of the Janus family connection and the fact that they'd, within the day, figured out that there was cyanide in their Tylenol bottle, they were able to basically go put all this together, and everyone's like, obviously autopsies had to happen to be 100% sure, but looking at the symptoms, looking at the way these people died, they were pretty certain.
The thing that connected very quickly was that the Kellerman bottle, the bottle from Mary Kellerman and the bottle from the Janus family was from the same lot number.
Yeah.
So that they kind of actually jumped to a conclusion there a little bit of that, okay, it's that lot number that's been affected. Thinking that, because at this point still they're going, okay, it's Tylenol. They're thinking this has got to have happened in manufacturing immediately, going back to the source of it, because as we said at the start, no one's thinking about people
tampering
doing nasty things.
Yep.
Something's gone wrong in the manufacturing stuff. This is a lot number issue. So they decided to recall that lot number. So basically thinking that removing that lot off the shelves would then fix this,
because there was some error in manufacturing, which basically meant that something in that lot
had got into that
somehow.
lot.
Yep.
And they'll address that, but let's get all that lot number off the shelves. Now, Johnson & Johnson were immediately on board with this. It wasn't they were, proactive. They didn't sort of do the whole, no, our product's fine, push it out on the shelves. They were very, instantly.
Well, they immediately issued a recall.
Yeah.
Just at the time, initially they only issued a recall of the extra strength Tylenol.
Yeah.
And the batch was like M2880 or something like that.
Yeah.
And okay, so they
MC2880.
Okay. Oh, that wasn't bad, Emma. Well done you for remembering that. And so they've obviously got people they're like, you can either hand it in to where you purchased it from, you can hand it to the police station, or please, at the very least, just discard it.
Yeah. But then very soon after that, when they started then looking at, there was more, once they kind of started linking these other cases up and started connecting those dots, they very quickly realised that there's more lot numbers that have been hit. So originally there was lots number 1910MD and MB2738 were also identified from the Mary McFarlane's pill bottle as well. So they realised too what that actually meant too. Once they started putting them all together, it wasn't just the lot numbers that were many. It was also 2 different factories. So originally it was a factory that was quite localised to Chicago that they pinpointed where these were from. But as they started looking at some of these lot numbers, one of them in particular came from Texas. So it didn't mean that then Texas were going to be necessarily, they were sort of concerned then it could be something they could show up. These cases could show up elsewhere because the Texas factory was bigger even than the one that was out from Chicago. So then it became an even bigger concern of like how far this could go if it was coming directly from factories. But at the same time, they were like, they realized that it couldn't be, there's nothing that Johnson & Johnson was saying, there's no cyanide in their factories at that point. But there was no cyanide that they were going, okay, this is somebody who is if this is someone working for Johnson & Johnson, tampering with the bottles in the manufacturing process, that's not happening then at two separate factories. That's got to be at one factory. So the fact that it's now lot numbers from multiple factories, it really made them realise this is not a manufacturing issue in that there's something happening there. This made it then realise, holy crap, this is happening after they've left the factories.
Mm-hmm. But at what point they didn't know.
This is it. So
because these bottles then go to distribution centres before they're then sent out to different pharmacies and supermarkets and all of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they had to make a pretty big call. And the call that they had to make was, do we actually now just recall all Tylenol products? So they did. They absolutely did that. And
you can't tell me anyway that if, as a consumer of that product that you would like go, hang on a minute, we know that there's products that are being recalled. I wouldn't touch any of their products until I felt very safe.
I think the only way Johnson & Johnson could have gotten out of this the way that they did, and by that I mean getting back to the point where they're the number one selling analgesic product in the US.
Yeah.
The only way they could have done that is by doing exactly what they did, and that was recalling all Tylenol products around the States.
Yes.
So they recalled, I think it was 100 million bottles.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, no, was it
31 million?
For $100 million value, something like that.
But that was 100 million in
1982.
The value of that now is something like...
probably 250, 300 million?
400 million I calculated it out to.
Wow.
It'd be worth, in today's money, 400 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's widely considered, like that their recall of this is widely considered as like one of the best...
gold
standard
PR kind of moves of what you do.
The gold standard of what you do. They'd never, Johnson & Johnson up until this point had never had to recall a product on mass scale before.
No.
And so this was absolutely unprecedented for any drug company anywhere.
Yeah.
The fact that they were willing to take the hit is, I mean, of course they did because there were people dying and they didn't know what was going on. But reputationally, the fact that they played it the way that they did meant that people still had faith in them as a brand.
Yeah.
And they were able to, we'll talk about this in a minute too, how they got there.
Yes.
But they were then able to get that those loyal consumers to come back and buy their product again eventually.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're coming from a place of like, from... I guess the consumer's point of view that they were doing the right thing, but they were also like protecting their own asses.
Of course they
want
were.
people to come back.
Of course.
So it's twofold, but it got the right action, like it needed to happen.
They also announced a $100,000 reward to anybody who was able to come forward with information pertaining to how this happened, or if they knew anybody or any information that would lead to the solving of this problem. They came out with that straight away as well. I mean, $100,000 to them's obviously peanuts in relation to the 100 million. Yeah, to the 100 million at the time. But, again, they were putting their money where their mouth was, and they really did want to have this solved. Of course, their livelihoods were at stake.
Absolutely.
This was such a massive portion of their revenue.
Yeah. I mean, so it highlighted to them at this point, like, well, how are they going to get a product back on the shelves that people are going to trust? And that was when they started implementing these tamper-proof seals, the foil packaging and triple seal systems that they have to this day to ensure people can't get that access without a consumer knowing that bottle's been opened before they've purchased it. So, I mean, it brought something in that well and truly, I mean, we're grateful for today. It's a shame that it was needed.
We just take it for granted now, don't we? You wouldn't even of course, it'd look weird if you got a bottle that didn't have something like a tamper evident pill packet or a tamper evident, seal to a bottle. But we know no different.
No, no.
Yeah.
This is it. I mean, it also there was the other thing was that the capsules that were in these bottles were able to be opened up and things put inside and reclosed so that you had no idea that had previously been done. And so it basically created a new product too that we know today as being a caplet rather than a capsule or a tablet, but the combination of the two, which I think was pretty interesting. So that's less tampering, being able to be made of a product, be able to open
a solid product now.
Product that's solid, and swallowed that way, which is interesting. I never thought about it until doing this, that I was like, oh, that's why they do that.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
God, because just take it for granted.
Absolutely.
Things.
So what happened, I think it was a little bit later that year, is that it became a federal law. It was the Federal Anti-Tampering Act of 1983 became official, and it became against the law to interfere with products that were being sold to consumers. So up until that point, tampering with anything that a consumer was purchasing was not actually a crime.
Well, I find that it's really interesting, isn't it? Because you just assume it would be, in that because it shouldn't be done, but at the same time, there's been no need for there to be a law about it. It was common sense not to.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting turn of events of society, isn't it?
Totally. Totally.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But then, obviously, if you're putting cyanide into a pill, that's an extra. It's not like you were just replacing the acetaminophen with, talcum powder or something.
That's something that was
or baking powder.
Something that's not harmful, kind
yeah.
of thing. Yeah. The fact that there was cyanide, you would still be caught in death. You're definitely going to be, caught for murder.
Yeah.
But, tampering in general is now illegal.
Illegal,
Yeah. Interesting. Gosh.
It's really, really interesting. So, okay, we need to now maybe have a bit of a look at who might have done this.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were at a loss because, there's no CCTV of these, places where these things were bought as to know who was in there that could have done it at that point. There was no CCTV of, depots where trucks were leaving and, carrying these products.
There was a photo taken of the flight attendant, of Paula, in the supermarket where she purchased hers.
Right.
There is a photo of her. They didn't have CCTV, but they did have cameras that took still photos once every X amount of minutes or something.
Yeah,
and
so advanced.
there is this photo, and she's lining up, and she's kind of looking away from where the camera is, looking at something, and it's haunting because you're like, she's literally standing there about to buy the thing that will kill her tonight.
Yeah. Isn't that fucking awful?
It's fucking awful.
Yeah. Like, you're going to the supermarket and buying,
I literally had Panadol this morning.
Oh, many I think you've had today.
Yeah. But, you don't think twice about it.
No.
I even though we're recording this today, I didn't.
No. It is.
I did pop it out of a blister pack.
Yeah.
A tamper-evident blister pack, but didn't think anything of it.
This is the thing. You just don't. No, not at all. And why should you? You shouldn't. These people. Yeah. So basically, they're sort of a bit of a loss to try to find suspects at this point. However, they've got their reward and hoping that someone might come forward with that.
Money can be very motivating.
But all of a sudden, a ransom letter appears. This is just... So this is on the 1st of October. So this is only a few days. This is 2 days after this has all occurred. I mean,
so there were victims who hadn't even died yet. We didn't even know that Paula had died yet.
Yep. And so nothing really much, it had been, obviously was out in the media that this occurred, but there wasn't great details that were getting out through the media. This is early days of this occurring putting it together. Yeah,
I think this is an important point too.
Yes.
When they said that there was a recall, they didn't actually say why at the time because they couldn't. They didn't know. They didn't definitively know. They just knew that there was something in these Tylenol bottles that was killing people.
Yeah.
So that's all that was really broadcast out there. And I mean, they did a lot. Even the local mayor for Chicago, she got police to go around with loudspeakers, do door knocking to tell people throw your Tylenol in the bin, public service announcement. It was on, they got media involved. So people knew, but they didn't know why.
No.
And so, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but now keep going with
you're
doing.
All good. Yeah. So this ransom letter arrives at Johnson & Johnson. So I'll read it for you.
Oh, yeah, go.
Okay. This, because the start of it pisses me off.
I know, right?
It's so sign of the times. Gentlemen.
Because there wouldn't be a woman in charge at a pharmaceutical company.
What? Home with the children, cooking dinner. Sorry. Is that sarcastic enough? Sorry. Okay. As you can see, it is easy to place cyanide, both potassium and sodium, into capsules sitting on store shelves. And since the cyanide is inside the gelatin, it is easy to get buyers to swallow the bitter pill. Another beauty is that cyanide operates quickly. It does not take long for victims to die. So far, I have spent less than $50, and it takes me less than 10 minutes per bottle. If you don't mind the publicity of these little capsules, then do nothing. If you want to stop the killing, wire $1 million to the following bank account. Now, that bank account, obviously, was then looked at very, very carefully. That bank account belonged to a man who ran a travel agency. What?
Sorry, what?
That whole ransom letter.
I know.
I mean, it's beyond creepy in that they know everything.
Yep.
They do. They know what's been done, what's been used, how much money that would cost, like what cyanide would cost to.
And it was accurate, like it was checked out. That was exactly right.
All spot on. Mm-hmm. How long it would take to carefully undo each capsule and fill it with some cyanide and put it back together and put it into the bottle. The police were very thorough in looking at those sorts of things of like, have they made that sort of shit up? They were very like, you could do it in 10 minutes. It could be done. What?
Especially if you had a pill press, which,
Yeah. Yeah.
even without one, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. So they looked into obviously this very, very carefully and found the man who owned the bank account that was listed there. Now, they went to him. As I said, he owned like a travel agency, and he was a regular run-of-the-mill bloke. No, nothing like untoward. They did full backtrack check on him of like to kind of go, what's his deal before they even approached him. Mm-hmm. They couldn't see anything that this man would connect to any of this. He had no priors, nothing, very much travel agency. Now I'm trying to kill people with cyanide pills. Like what his business was doing well, mm-hmm. So it wasn't like he necessarily, anyone could do with $1 million, but like.
Oh, God, yeah. Yes, please.
Yes, please. But, he wasn't needing the money, like he wasn't in some sort of dire straits who was desperate for money that would need him to be going, I'll do this to get ransom money. So with talking to him though, they found the only person that this man could think of that would do something like this was an ex-employee's husband. Mm-hmm. This ex-employee they'd had some issues in terms of her work, and she had left the company. And when that occurred, her husband was not happy about it. Mm-mm. Not at all. Now, he went by a name that was not his birth name at this time as the husband. And I couldn't find out. Could you find out much about why he used that other name?
I'm not sure.
No.
I couldn't find anything. I didn't come across it in any of my research.
No. So he went by a name, Richard something, wasn't it? Rich. God, I was going to find it. But in looking into him, they very quickly found this Richard actually was James Williams Lewis.
Yeah.
So who was James William Lewis then? Well, he was a very interesting man.
Oh, interesting doesn't even cut the half of it. Far out.
Yeah. So he already had some dealings with police they immediately looking into him were like, well, yeah, he's odd and very unusual in that he had been arrested previously and tried for a murder.
Mm-hmm. Not only that, he had such a long-standing rap sheet with the police. he was one of those people who'd been, I don't know, I feel like he'd in everything a serial pest, because he'd always kind of reached just under the threshold to be convicted or tried of certain things. Like, it's like he was constantly pushing this little boundary across the years. It never quite tipped over into, unfortunately, we'll get to some of the more specifics in a second, but never quite pushed over into him spending any time in prison. Well, not at this point anyway, spending any time in prison or anything like that. So, serial pest I think is fair, but he was doing some really fucking dodgy shit and really damaging to other people. He was a con artist. He, committed, credit card fraud. He opened credit cards in all these different people's names. And I think he even opened one in the name of the travel agent, who his wife, so his wife's name was Leanne. I think he somehow... They were like, we want to get rid of her, but I think a lot of it was more to do with him, you know, in wanting them out of being related to them in some way. So loyal to her husband. That I can see that if he said to her, you need to find me his social security number so I can get a credit card in his name, she would have done it. She was just one of those people. She just did everything he said. And she never once said a word against him to the police, to anybody in all of this.
No.
So to me, I feel like she would have known what was going on. She's culpable.
Yeah, I agree.
As well.
Yeah.
I mean, he's obviously... Anyway, let's get into that a little bit more. He's 100% next level.
Very unusual. And I have to admit straight up, I've watched that more recent documentary, and he is interviewed in that. And at the time of him being looked at, he became quite vocal in media and was quite out
didn't
there.
He just love himself sick?
Loved a bit of media back then. Oh. He then dropped off the radar and wouldn't be involved in media for quite some time in between. And then when it came to this newer documentary, I think he was like, bring it, I'll have a chat with you. And I have to admit, I slightly got sucked into this guy for a minute.
Okay.
He told this story. He started to tell the story of how he was linked to this murder, which part of it broke my heart.
Same.
So basically James and his wife, Leanne, had a daughter, and his daughter happened to have Down syndrome. And the way he spoke about her in this documentary was really loving.
Yeah.
That he wanted to do everything and anything for her, growing up. I mean, in the 80s and having a child with Down syndrome, I don't know how much support would have been out there and how much a lot of people could have been quite, unhelpful to a family in that kind of situation, I feel, unlike today.
In the 80s, people born with Down syndrome were still being institutionalized. That is... It blows my mind that basically within our living lifespan that was still happening. I can't believe that. Thank God things have changed.
And I think that immediately got me sucked in, because I was like, immediately, this is a dad who was like, that's not happening to my daughter. I'm raising her, and I'm, this is for us, and this is my daughter. And I was in.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think... Even the worst of people, surely there are people who are all bad, but we've all got our things, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, I agree with you. I agree that the way he spoke about her, but then you look at him and you're like, he's a con artist. He would know.
It wasn't.
He would know that this makes him look really sympathetic, and
And
what do I actually think? If we're looking at this critically, where's the motivation?
It makes you flip the other end of it. But
I hope that it was genuine.
I really do.
But unfortunately, when I think she was 2 years of age, she had a hole in her heart and she died during the surgery where they were trying to repair it. So just horrific.
She passed away of something they knew about too. This wasn't something they weren't aware of.
Yeah.
They knew that she had this heart condition, which is quite common with people with Down syndrome. So when it happened, it was heartbreaking, and he teared up in that documentary, and so did I, along with him, kind of going, oh my God, this poor man's being accused of, poisoning people, and here he is, he's had, all this go on for him. Like, how awful. No. He's a piece of shit.
He's a piece of shit. I mean, both things can be true.
Oh, absolutely.
It can be true that it's really sad that his daughter died, and it can be true that he's also a fucking piece of shit who's potentially, allegedly, perpetrated all these other things against other people.
Definitely. So basically, when his daughter passed away, he had this very good friend. Now, this good friend of his who absolutely adored his daughter and spent lots of time coming around and visiting her. Oh my God, I'm just trying to find it. Raymond West, isn't it? Yeah. So they had an interesting friendship, and it was interesting to hear his perspective of like this great mate of his that came to his house all the time and everything. And then you hear Raymond West's daughter, I believe it was. I think I've heard her interviewed, and how her perspective of Raymond West's relationship with James Lewis was a bit more like, oh, look, he's weird and a pain in the ass, but my dad was a very kind person and was friends with people.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting seeing both perspectives of that.
Yeah.
So they would spend a lot of time together, according to James Lewis. And at one point, though, Raymond West, interestingly, he disappeared, but James Lewis said he went on holidays. And he even to the point of he went to his house and put a card on the door of his house saying, I've gone to X so-and-so for this time, and so if you come to knock at my door, basically
I won't be there.
I'm not here. I've gone away.
Back in the days before mobile phones, people.
Oh, and worrying about people robbing your house because, basically telling the world, I'm not home.
Actually, that's a good point. I actually hadn't even thought about that, but yeah.
You're doing the good friendly neighbour thing of putting this note on the door, but you're just telling everyone
but
come
you're
rob
not
me.
there.
I'm not home.
Good point.
Okay. All right. But yeah, according to James Lewis, he had spoken to Raymond West and he had decided to go on this trip. And so James took it upon himself to put this note on the door. But Raymond West didn't appear. He was missing. His family, rang the police and reported him missing, and they couldn't find him. And really tragically, they ended up finding his body in the attic of the house. His body was dismembered. It was quite horrific what had been done to him prior to death and after death. It was not good. And obviously the last person to have seen him alive was James Lewis.
Interestingly enough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go.
I was going to say the police obviously brought James in for questioning, as they do.
Yeah.
Absolutely the right thing to do. Last person to see him alive. And unfortunately, before interviewing him, they didn't read him his Miranda rights.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, were you able to watch any of that interview?
I haven't watched any of it.
No,
I've seen some transcripts.
I was going to say, I read some transcripts, but I don't know if the video is actually available.
No.
Maybe not actually, because I feel like I would have come across it when researching it. But it was pretty fucking damning. It was pretty damning.
Yeah.
And so the police have then charged him with the murder and dismemberment of this body.
Because there's no question this man was murdered.
You can't commit murder and then cut your limbs off.
No. You can't, you're committing suicide here and in his attic. He was murdered, no question.
Yeah.
Someone else has done this to him. Yeah.
So anyway, they've charged James with the murder and it's gone to court. And unfortunately, he had a really good lawyer, and the lawyer figured out I believe it was through these written transcripts that it was never documented. There was never a signed documentation with regard to him having been read his Miranda rights. And so the judge had no choice but to throw the case out.
Yeah, there was not enough evidence without it. And so that's it. It literally, he walked away from that.
He swears free. Oh, of course he does.
Didn't kill him, and has another story of that, of what he thinks happened, which just doesn't make sense, of course. But I mean, we're pretty confidently can say he probably got away with murder of that there. And some people do believe it's because maybe Raymond West was like, mate, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Because he had also stolen his credit card details too, and was using Raymond West's credit card and things. So that was the evidence they did have, but that doesn't prove murder. Of thing. That was all they had on top of what these tapes were. So these interviews. So that was basically, they had to throw it out. That they had no choice in that matter. But it did leave James Lewis as being someone who's obviously, I think, got a past that doesn't rule him out from being potentially someone who might do this to cyanide tablets.
But also, like, the fact that he's written this extortion letter for the $1 million, to me, that's like he knew something that wasn't publicly known. Like, there's just so many things that just really line up.
Well, the
Really,
thing on
really
that
line up.
is that the police sort of feel it like the bit of evidence with this that they feel is a bit of a clincher is that this letter arrived at Johnson & Johnson on the 1st of October.
Yeah.
And James Lewis says, so we should say, he admits to writing that letter. He wanted the travel agent who, that his wife worked for, he was pissed with him. He wanted him to pay for that. So he thought he would write this letter to Johnson & Johnson and get him in the shit. That's what his story of it is. He admits, I wrote it. That's why I wrote it. I wanted him to be the person they were looking at for all these Tylenol murders. However, he wrote that letter and it was postmarked on the 1st of October, and he says it took him 3 days to construct that letter and thinking about it.
So
now, if
3
that's
days
the case,
before.
3 days prior, the media and the public did not know about this.
No.
So,
In fact, the first victim had only just died.
yeah. So how on earth does he know enough about this to go,
No, the public-
I'm going to
no
write
one
that letter?
knew.
So, yeah, that bit of evidence there,
It's everything.
it gets me
It's
for everything. But then I have to do the whole, okay, he didn't admit that until further investigations in like the 2000s.
Yeah.
So is that a memory lapse of how long it took him? I mean, it's not like it's a long ransom letter. There's not too much to it.
No.
So did he actually take 3 days to write it? And that's my only thing of like my brain goes, okay, is he overestimating how long he thought about this, 20 years later?
Why do you feel the need to give him that?
Because I just don't know if he did it.
Really?
No, I don't know.
Okay. All right. Should we talk about another?
Yeah.
Well, but what about, okay, actually, let's talk a little bit more about like later on in the 2000s when the FBI got involved.
Yeah.
And they basically conned him. They conned the con man.
Yeah. Well done.
Well done. So this to me speaks to his personality. I'm assuming he's got a personality disorder.
Oh, yeah.
And his narcissism, to be honest,
Yeah.
because but the FBI basically said to him, "Oh, because you know so much about all this stuff." So they didn't say they were the FBI. They said they were journalists. They posited themselves as journalists, and they're like, "We want to write a story about all of this, and we want you to, because you're so good, and we know you wrote that letter, and we know it wasn't you who did it. So, but because you seem to know so much about this, how about we're going to do a story about this, like an expose about all of this. Can you be our expert? And can you tell us, like, theoretically, how somebody would have done this, right?" And he literally draws them diagrams. He draws them. He's got formulas. He's got amounts you would need to fill. I think the Tylenol bottles had 30 capsules in them, I think. He knew exactly how much cyanide you needed to...
60 in a bottle,
was
sorry.
it? So 30 doses,
30
yeah.
doses,
Sorry,
yeah.
you're right.
Yep.
He knew exactly how much cyanide was needed to put into the 60 capsules per bottle. He knew how to, like, cut the cyanide so it looked a little more powdery. He literally drew diagrams. He literally had formulas, right? So he's showing off to these journalists who are actually FBI agents, and he's saying to them, well, if it was me, this is what I would have done. This is what I would have done.
Yeah.
And the main journalist, who was a woman, a female FBI agent, she says to him, "So why do you reckon the perpetrator of this would have put the cyanide into the extra bottles? Is it because, if someone's really sick, they're going to take the extra strength Tylenol and then maybe they'll die quicker because they're already sick.
And
right?
it might get covered up by that.
It might get covered up, right?" And he goes, "It's a joke. Don't you get it? There's extra in the Tylenol." And she says, when he said that, she had absolute chills, and she was like, "Oh, I know he did it. I know he did it." Anyway, they ended up, this was like subsequently to that, they're like, "Yep, we've got to nab this guy again."
Okay. Or is that one of those things where, like, some people are just more logical and more...
You're going down the Lucy Letby path with this, are
I
you?
think I am.
Yeah. No, I do get that. I actually do get that because...
Yep.
So I've been listening to a lot of this Lucy Letby stuff lately and about how, you know, we've talked about it in our episode where she writes on the notes, I'm bad, I did this, it's my fault, blah, 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 which at the time, not knowing different things, I'm like, okay, of course you read that as a literal interpretation of she's guilty, right? Without any nuance.
Yeah.
I'm not saying she is or isn't, okay? But in this instance, I can see how you could have a similar approach because he's theoretically saying that hypothetically saying that he's done it.
Yeah.
To go along with a story to a journalist because he thinks he's feeding them information about what would happen if he were the Tylenol murderer. I do get that.
Yeah. But it's also that really like the interpretation of things like being, you know, like the old, you know, why the chicken crossed the road joke, you know, of like the different people's interpretation of to get to the other side. Whereas I, as a kid, believed that to be the other side of the road, whereas the joke was originally, and people got it, of being like to the other side as in death.
Yeah.
Right? That never landed with me.
Right.
Yeah, that I'm wondering whether it's just the way his brain works, which I do believe he has a narcissism or a, you know, something along those lines. Yeah. And is there something a little bit autistic in there of like that, just that,
the black and white view of something
of like, you know, his idea of extra, when he hears that, well, there's something added, there's something extra, that his brain just works differently.
But why would he? Oh, I guess that maybe he doesn't have the insight then to think other people's brains
don't work that
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I know I shouldn't be defending him because at the end of the day, I do think he's an asshole of a man.
Oh, he's a shit person at the end of the day.
Person.
Yeah.
This is not the only thing he did in terms of like pissing people off. There's a number, like as I said, there's a list of a mile long of things he's done that are pretty shit. So I think he's a dick and an asshole. I just don't know that he did the Tylenol murders.
Should we talk about the other potential suspects?
Yeah, sure.
Who do you want to go with next?
What about Arnold?
Roger.
Yeah.
Roger Arnold.
Yeah.
So he was a dock worker at the warehouse that supplied the stores. So he worked at basically a distribution center. So the shipments would come in to where he was working, and it was his job to then distribute them to all the different, like the different pharmacies and, as we were saying, supermarkets and wherever the Tylenol was going.
Yeah.
There was no evidence that linked him specifically to those bottles. So I think when they looked into it, certain lot numbers had passed through his distribution center, the one that he worked at. Not all.
Not all those lot numbers, no.
So
he did have a link to Mary Reiner's father.
Well, that's the other thing.
That it was like, some sort of revenge on him.
So he became the prime suspect because he worked at a warehouse with Mary Reiner's father at one point.
Yeah.
But the police could never prove that he was the killer.
No.
The pressure of him being under investigation for this broke him as a human. Mm-hmm. He then went on to murder a man by the name of John Stanisha.
Yeah.
Because he thought that, now this is so fucking tragic. And you look at this and you think this really honestly is another victim of the Tylenol murders, isn't he?
Oh, I think so.
This John was a family man, lovely guy, upstanding member of society, got muddled into this whole mess. It was kind of a case of mistaken identity.
Yeah.
And Arnold killed him because he thought that, well, someone who looked like him anyway had ratted him out to the police and said that Arnold was the Tylenol murderer.
But they did find at his house a book by the name of, it's The Poor Man's James Bond, it's called. And in it explains how to make potassium cyanide.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, just it's probably worth noting as well, when they searched James Lewis's house, they did not find any cyanide.
No, but they did find a book again that did actually.
It was like what was it?
I can't remember what book it was, but it was definitely one that clearly identified what cyanide was.
That's
how
right.
much it would need.
Yeah.
There was all that was in there. It was like some
It's
sort
like
of
the Alchemist something.
Yeah. So there was definitely a link there of like having information in his house that would help in doing it.
Yeah.
The other thing with Lewis that I think is maybe my key thing of like going, I don't know if he did it.
Yep.
There's actually, he lived in New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't live in Chicago. He was not from the area. There was no evidence of him even being in Illinois and Chicago at the time.
Yeah.
So that's probably
He can't be placed there.
Whereas these bottles were clearly tampered with, like in that they were either
In situ.
purchased, taken home, and then put back on shelves after purchase. I assume that's what you do rather than putting it in the shop. I don't think you could stand there and do it in the shop.
You couldn't. No.
I'm fairly certain that whoever did this must have purchased them, taken them home, done this, and then surreptitiously put them back on shelves after that, which at the time they could do because those tampering things weren't there on the bottles to show that
And there's no
stuff.
CCTV or anything like that.
That's how I believe it would have happened, and there's no evidence of him being in the area to have done it. Mm-hmm. That's probably that's where I kind of go.
Because
I don't know if it was him.
when you plot on a map all of the places where cyanide was found in these extra strength Tylenol bottles, they're all fairly within a 20-minute drive of one another, basically, all within sort of the outer city limits of Chicago in Illinois.
It was contained to that area.
It was contained to quite a narrow area, really.
Yeah.
The thing that I think you're right. I think that the perpetrator has done exactly what you said, like bought some Tylenol, taken it home. What I think is tough for me to get around my mind, but I can also see you could absolutely do it, because was it like 7 or 8 different places where they found it?
Yeah, it wouldn't have been that many. Oh, no, it could have been. No, you're right.
But like,
yes.
what I'm saying is the perpetrator would have then had to have driven to all those places and placed the bottles. But if you're trying to look for maximum impact, that's kind of maybe what you would do.
Yeah, you'd spread it out. Because you kept it at one shop, it kind of it means you're like they're going to look around that area for somebody. Whereas by doing it at multiple shops, it grows the where you're looking for people.
Yeah, the scope. Yeah,
but that's where he lived in New York.
Yeah. Well, Arnold lived in New York. Yeah.
No. That's Lewis.
Lewis, yeah. Yep, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, God. But the other person they did look at for this was actually the Unabomber. Mm-hmm. So they did do a DNA. So in later years, so when we've re-looked at this case in the 2000s, I think it was around about 2010, I want to say.
Yep.
They did go to, Arnold died, so they exhumed his body to remove DNA so they could test him. They did get DNA from Lewis at that time. He was still alive. He only passed away in 2023, I think it was.
Yep.
They took DNA from him, and they took DNA from the Unabomber because he was operating in that area as well. So that was one they had on their list of being, was this maybe one of his as well? But none of them, their DNA matched the DNA that they did find on these bottles that were tampered with. So that's another little bit of a.
It's just another weird thing, I think. But then if you were doing this, would you wear gloves? Probably, because you don't want to get cyanide on your hands.
Cyanide on you, that's true. But then, but they did find common DNA.
They did. That is true.
So yeah.
I mean, they found the DNA of the victims who'd obviously handled the bottles. They found unknown DNA, which is likely to be that of shopkeepers.
Shopkeepers putting it on shelves, that sort of stuff.
It certainly didn't match any of the suspects at the time.
Yeah.
There was one other guy whose name was sort of mentioned briefly, but he was ruled out fairly quickly. His name was Kevin Masterson. He had a very, very well-known grudge against the grocery chain Jewel Osco, it was called.
Osco, yeah.
And a lot of the pills were bought at a Jewel store, but not all. So, it was pretty quickly ruled out that it probably wasn't him, but he certainly was very, very vocal. He felt that, so his wife had worked there, and he felt very strongly that they had mistreated her as an employee.
Yeah.
And also I think he had some issues of his own going on. And so he kind of really took this and ran with it and was incredibly vocal about how awful they were.
Yeah.
So people, members of the community thought, well, maybe he would want to get back at them by doing this. But anyway, he got ruled out. There was definitely no physical link there to link them together.
Yeah.
The other theory, though, is so Michelle Rosen, who is one of Mary Rayner's daughters, so victim Mary Rayner's daughters, had a theory that the tampering didn't happen in the stores at all. Her theory is that there was somebody in the distribution centres that did this because of the way that they ended up randomly in different places. So when the recall happened, a lot of the bottles, especially from the stores where known cyanide tablets were purchased within the bottles, scientists went through and checked literally they went through hundreds of thousands of capsules, broke them open, checked
31 million bottles.
Yeah. Checked whether there was cyanide present. And so not all of the ones on the shelf contain cyanide. So they were like, well, was it that somebody in these distribution centres has put a random one bottle here that I've tampered with, one bottle in that box, one bottle in that box. But to me, I don't think that's right, because not all of those bottles would have gone onto the shelves on the same day.
No. They could have been in back
to
rooms.
Me, that's right, for weeks, or, someone sells more than the other person. To me, that is completely not even a thing. I think it had to have been placed there by a person on this same day. The person would have had to have driven around to all these stores, placed the bottles back.
But one thing that I want to hear your thoughts on this too, of like Johnson & Johnson, there was some talk around the fact that, like, from Johnson & Johnson's perspective, they're like, oh, we do not have cyanide in our factories. Turns out they did, like, when it was investigated further. And that Johnson & Johnson then had to come out and say, oh, we do actually, but it's kept behind lock and key. No one has access to it without these protocols. That's not actually true. They didn't have all these protocols, and it was pretty accessible by staff. They didn't really keep it away that much.
Until after this happened.
Yeah, exactly. And then with this, like, their proactiveness in terms of fixing this, which is applauded at all levels on what they did. However, I can't come at the fact that they were investigating themselves as part of the police operation. I can understand as a company you want to make your own, investigation to what happened. That's absolutely, good. But I can't agree with them being the people who were actually invited by the police to do the investigation of themselves of these bottles, because
I think that's so fair.
Yeah, all this stuff was basically, they were like, oh, we've got the labs, we've got the ability to do this, which absolutely they do.
Because they do their own
that's
QC,
what they do.
And that's right. They need to check make sure that what they're putting out there is what they say they're putting out there.
But how much faith can we then have as a society of, like, what
it wouldn't happen today.
No.
That would never happen today, because independent testing would be happening for them just for what they're putting out anyway.
Yes.
They wouldn't be able to do just in-house testing for that in order to get accreditation to be able to actually put these products on the shelf.
Yeah.
But I fully agree with you.
Yeah.
The police gave them way too much rope in terms of the scope of what they were investigating in relation to this. And it's like the police put blind faith in them to be like, oh yeah, well, no, we know it wasn't you.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was. I don't think it was somebody in the manufacturing process.
No, I don't either. I don't think that's what happened. But you're not actually.
There's nobody impartial saying that.
You're not discounting yourself, because I feel like then there's this shadow over that.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that, well, who is to say that you haven't botched the outcome to cover it up for yourselves? It'd be like you, who has medical background in terms of labs and stuff, or like looking at, things that you have access to a lab, that you went and murdered Peter, and the police turn around and went, well, you do all the lab work for us because you know what you're doing, and then come back and tell us if you murdered him or not.
I'll come and get like DNA from my mortal enemy and be like, oh my God, it's this person.
God, it wasn't me after all.
Good news.
It's literally the same thing.
Yeah.
On a smaller scale.
Yeah.
I mean, just because they're a big company and they are trying to protect themselves, they have the money to protect themselves.
And you know what? So they should be protecting themselves. I understand that that's business. But yes, I couldn't agree with you more. The police definitely gave them a lot of scope where they shouldn't have been given it.
At the end of the day, I don't think that's how it happened. I agree with you in that it's with someone driving around putting it back on shelves. I really agree.
Same.
I think that.
To me, that's logically, that's the only way it could have happened in terms of, because it was such a narrow time frame that the people bought them.
Yes.
That it was all on the same day. I can't come at any other way that they could have all ended up on the shelves on the exact same day.
No.
Yeah. So
we're looking at the moment, Thaler, we've got a few suspects, standout being Lewis, but they just, I mean, as I said, he can't even be proven to be in the area. So they really couldn't get him on this, on the murders.
Have you seen, though, they did have like a really, really shitty, grainy photo that could have literally been me. Like, you can't even, honestly, judging by the body shape of this person, I'm like, I actually can't tell whether it's male or female. They've got short hair, but the body, like, you can't even really tell because the photo's kind of on like a bit of an angle, so you kind of are not seeing their full stature, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
Really blurry photo, and they're like, yep, that's him.
Oh, that's him. That was him.
That was him
putting them on the shelves?
That's it.
Right. Yeah, that's not really enough,
I'm like,
is it?
no, that's
can't
not.
Really.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Can't go to court with that.
No, but what they could go to court on was the extortion letter.
Oh, yeah.
So they did get him on that, and he did get 13 years for writing that letter. I mean,
of which he served 10, I think
yeah,
in
it was
the
10
end.
he ended up serving. But I mean, at least they could get him on that. I mean,
Yeah.
he admitted to doing it. He did do it. Like, he wrote the letter, but whether or not.
But he was charged with extortion, not with anything to do with the murder.
No, he was just charged with extortion.
Yeah.
Rightly so, because I mean,
absolutely.
Okay, if you can't get him on the murder, get him on something. We've got him on that. But they had to let him walk on the Tylenol thing. And so to this day,
no one's been charged.
No one's been charged. Gosh. But we did have some copycats. But I mean, when I say that, could it, if that's not him, then who is it, and are they still wandering around and doing this?
That's a very, very fair point. Look, I think in the aftermath of this, so in Chicago, definitely in other states in the United States. So this happened late September, early October. Yep. So Halloween was coming up. A lot of counties cancelled their Halloween, said kids weren't allowed to go out and do trick-or-treating. That lasted for years in some areas because people were so scared. But in the weeks, like in the literal 3 or 4 weeks following these Tylenol murders, there were 270 reported incidents of product tampering. Now, they don't know whether it was just not reported before this and not widespread, as in, people would bring products back to a store and say, oh, I found this in it, and then it wasn't kind of really going anywhere. And only because the tampering of these pills have then made this become a reportable thing now, because it's illegal now to tamper with consumer products.
Right.
So they're not sure whether this was in reaction to or was always happening. Okay. But it was, people were finding razor blades in candy, like in lollies. Yep. They were finding there were pins and needles placed in fruit. And so, was it that these things were just starting to get documented now because of the Tylenol murders and the fact that tampering with things is, illegal, or were people now getting ideas to tamper with things that we don't really know? But anyway, the copycat, or was it the same person? We don't actually know. They started pretty quickly after these Tylenol murders. Yeah.
They say there was hundreds.
Yep. Literally hundreds. Yeah. Which ones have you written any down to talk about?
There's a few. I've got one. There was 3 deaths that occurred in 1986 from gelatin capsules. Mm-hmm. So that was that happened in Yonkers in New York.
Yep.
Not back in Chicago.
Yep. Which to me is like curious.
Yes. That did stand out to me too.
Yep.
So a young woman by the name of Diane Elsroth was 23. She died, and the capsules were laced with cyanide again. It was very much the same sort of thing. So that's not good.
The interesting thing about this one, though, so this happened in 1986, so 3 years later.
Yeah.
by this stage, there were triple safety seals. So there was a foil, plastic wrap, and the box was glued. The box that the bottle was containing was glued.
Yeah.
They were all intact when she bought them.
Yeah.
So what that says is that something must have happened in the manufacturing process
That's
for it to be in there.
and that's where you kind of go, but wait, wait, how does that happen?
Yeah, and it was extra strength Tylenol again.
Yeah. Very bizarre. But then other ones would occur in different products altogether, as in more like pain relief kind of medicine still. But so there was one called in Excedrin, I think you call it Excedrin.
Yep.
That was in Washington State. They'd been tampered with and resulted in the deaths of 2 people, Susan Snow and Bruce Nickel. Again, cyanide poisoning was what they passed away from. There was, though, a conviction for that.
Oh, this one's so interesting.
That was Bruce Nickel's wife,
Stella.
So she ended up being convicted of that for had intentionally tampered with those bottles, but unfortunately did murder her husband but then also a stranger with doing that.
Yeah,
I mean that's fucking
she
awful.
wanted his I think it was roughly $180,000 payout, and decided, well, might as well off him and get that.
Get rid of him. Yeah, but someone else got caught in the crossfire too.
Oh, it's horrible.
That's just terrible with that. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Awful.
Yes.
Yep.
But there were many of them that occurred.
As you said, there were hundreds that the FBI attribute to being copycats, or not necessarily even copycats, but, were informed by, in some way, the Tylenol murders. And, it's just crazy.
Yeah, there was another one where they'd been cyanide had been laced on some Sudafed tablets too. So that it sort of shifted across to a slightly different product. Yeah. But that's just, I don't know, it's crazy.
It's crazy. Why people do the things they do, I will never know.
No.
Whoever did this. Look, to me, Lewis is my front runner.
He is my front runner. I just want evidence that he was actually, that photo maybe, but by the sounds of things not. I want evidence that he was
Depends
actually in
who
the
you
area.
ask. Yeah.
Because he definitely fits a whole lot of the profile of someone who would do it. I definitely can, come to that.
Yeah.
He seems like the fact that his letter was written and he's saying it, he started that letter prior to even any knowledge supposedly of this occurring means what? I mean, even if you went, okay, this is where, more so to the fact of there's hearing this in the news and then going, wait, can I use this to my advantage to get back at that
Which
guy?
is fucked as it is anyway.
The thought process of that, I believe, could take him 3 days. Not the actual construction of the letter so much, but the thought process of to get that letter written and sent out and be postmarked by the 1st of October is very quick thinking.
There's a lot of planning that probably had to go into it to get it to that point. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, that I do think it did take longer than time that he would have had the information genuinely. I can come at that for sure.
Yeah, same.
And his past of, potentially, well, allegedly, I don't know, he killed West.
He's just so lucky that those coppers fucked up.
Oh, God, yeah.
And everyone else in the world's potentially so unlucky that happened.
That's where I think he thinks he's smarter than everyone else.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he was fully aware that they hadn't given him his Miranda rights. And I think that's why he said what he said, because he knew he couldn't be used in court.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have said that.
Yeah.
He's
quite possibly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Quite possibly.
Yep.
What
a piece of shit.
What an absolute piece of shit.
If you want a T-shirt that says
absolute piece of shit. Well, do we know the girls for you? We will actually put links in our show notes to where you can buy our merch, by the way. I meant to mention that earlier.
Yes.
Look, I think the thing that we need to remember as a society is that there is nothing is tamper-proof.
No.
Things can be tamper-evident, but nothing is 100% foolproof in the world, in this life. And there are people who will go to extraordinary lengths sometimes for whatever reason, for whatever motivation,
some people
to really try and fuck shit up. And
don't think like the rest of us.
That's it. And, it's a sad thought, but it's true. It's reality.
The thought of these the victims of this crime. I mean, 7 people dying within 24 hours, completely not known to this person. This is the thing. This was not targeted, as I said, jokingly, basically, that, that were they targeting Marys? There was so many Marys that were murdered. It was so random how to put them on a shelf and not know who's going to take that, as it could have been a child as young as 12 to, an 80, 90-year-old person.
I heard an argument, though, that whoever did this, maybe they put it in the extra strength because children wouldn't take it. I'm like, the person who did this did not give a fuck about children.
No.
And obviously someone has given their 12, I think, with most medications, 12 is seen as an adult dose anyway. But, a girl as young as 12 died.
This is it. You're giving them, it's in an everyday medication that we give to this day, we give to children, people of any age, to rectify the smallest of pain that these are not people going and seeking out pain medication because they have chronic pain or, severe things. This is the minor headache, the mum recovering from having a baby, with just those niggling, things that are, that are still there, presiding after 6 days of having giving birth. Yeah. I mean, you're just taking something that will help you get through to that little bit, getting over a cold. I mean, and that's the result of it. What kind of
something seemingly so innocent is just so catastrophic for all these families.
I mean, the Janus family, I could not feel more for them.
I just feel like every one of these victims had something that I was like, fuck me, like that's horrible. Like the young mum, the young girl, the 3 members of one family,
just
the flight attendant who was just on her own. Like all of them had something just awful.
Absolutely, those poor families. Yeah. And, they still have no answers as to why that would occur. I mean, I know there's children of these victims now who are adamant they still want to find who did this. And I get that, absolutely, because I don't know how you go through life knowing. I mean, the how they died, but the why, you've got no why. Why were why was it done, and who fucking did it? Mm-hmm. Who got up one morning and went, oh, this will be good fun?
Tell us what you think.
Yeah.
Who do you think did it?
Do you reckon there's someone we're missing? Is there someone that we haven't found in our research, or do you think that Lewis is the one? I mean, he is dead, but doesn't mean we can't find out that he did it, and be feeling better for knowing some sort of outcome.
Yeah,
because God, as I say, I felt like a dick watching that interview with him at first. It was one of the first things I watched when we were doing this.
Okay,
and I looked at it and just went, oh no, that poor guy, like.
But I think they set it up,
totally
hoping for everyone to feel that way and then be like, wait. What?
Hey, you murdered somebody?
Hold on a minute. You're actually a really bad dude.
Yeah. I thought, oh, God, I really honestly thought, oh, okay, he's done a few, not so good things in his life, but he's genuinely a good guy. No, he ain't.
No.
No.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us for another episode. We really appreciate everyone. Get around the merch, get around the likes and the comments and all of the things, and get around Patreon if you would like to win a prize pack.
Yep. Absolutely. Make sure if you've already joined us, you're in the draw already. If you have joined us today or before 5th of June, you're in the draw. So come and join us over at Patreon. Patreon.com/2crimebesties. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you did. Well done.
Cool. Yep, join us. $5 a month. That's all it costs. And you'll go in the draw too. And you get all your extras and ad free. You don't have to have us interrupted.
That's it. Because what more could you want than the uninterrupted voices of Meg and Emma?
I can think of a few things. Wine maybe now.
Yeah, fair.
Awesome. Stay curious, crime besties.
Bye.
That's why we still do tests.
That's right. Oh, God.
I will never not do a test. Testing. Oh, no. Oh, God, we're recording.
Yeah,
we are.
Testing, we're recording. Yeah, we've already done that.
Awesome.